Okay, so hello everyone. So today we will be doing the conversations with musicians fourth episode. So I am really excited because I will do this program for so long, but in a Turkish style, and we are talking with the musicians as Turkish. And that program is going like 170 episodes for now. Yeah, it's really that much, and I'm continuing to do that. But sometimes we just want to make some differences. And today we will be guesting to the Alva Andersson. She's a soprano, and actually, it's really interesting for me as well because I am not doing these interviews as a some vocal musician. I don't know why just I couldn't find them, but uh, Alva is a really cute person, a really sweet musician, and thank you, Alva, for coming today. Okay, so whatever. And one more thing. My English is not that good, so if I make some grammar mistakes or I suck it up, please forgive me. Okay, whatever. Alva is waiting. Let's begin. Hi, Alva. Welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good.
So, can you see me and hear me well?
Yes.
Okay. You look perfect and your sound is good. Welcome again. Okay, so first of all, thank you for coming here. I was following you for a long time, and I wanted to make an interview with you. So thank you. I'm really glad that you're here now.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
So your English is very well, not as like mine. So I'm sorry if I make some mistakes. I apologize for that now. Okay.
No worries.
So I told you that you're a soprano to the listeners, but I really curious about this, your life beginning to end. So I'm asking you that can you make a summary to us is like your music career beginning to end?
Yeah. Um, so I'm a classical soprano, classically trained, and I started my music journey here. I live in Sweden. I started it with choir, as a lot of singers do. Here in Sweden, we have a very rich choir tradition. So I started in a girls' choir, singing classical music, Christian music, and yeah, so that was my first contact with classical music. Really, a lot of Handel and Swedish psalms and hymns and music like that. And I come from an actor's family, actually. So my mother, she was an actor, and my father too. My aunts,
Really?
yeah, a lot of actors. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
So yeah, so it's I come from that perspective, I
Yeah.
guess, and I sang in this choir for a long time, and I really liked being on stage and singing and performing. And then uh, when I was starting gymnasium, do you have, yeah,
Yeah.
at 15 years old, I was thinking, should I do acting or should I do music? And I
Yeah.
decided on music ultimately because it felt like such a challenge. I heard this young soprano sing Exultate Jubilate by Mozart, the
Yeah.
motet, and I was super amazed by the coloraturas, and I was always, wanting that soloist's part in the choir
Yeah.
too. So I decided to take singing lessons. And there in the gymnasium, I did different genres, musical, jazz, classical. But I really liked classical the most, and I think it suited my voice the
Yeah.
best, since I came from a very classical choir trained perspective. And after that, I went to another school, and it was a classical music school.
Yeah.
So it was Lilla Akademins pre-college, it's called. So it's
It's
yeah,
like
it's
a
a pre-college.
conservatoire or something.
What?
So it's a music school,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a music school, but it's before conservatory,
Yeah.
taking singing lessons, and worked a lot with lead and some opera, some oratorio music, and it was really quite. I really learned a lot about myself, and really dedicated myself to the music. And then I went to my bachelor's program, which
Yeah.
I'm graduating from now. So yeah, it's Ingesund, Musikhögskolan Ingesund, it's called.
Yeah.
And I've been here for 3 years, really focusing on mostly oratorio music and opera, which I both equally love. And yeah, so here I am now. And I last summer I was in an opera production, and there I really felt like I wanted to pursue opera, because I think for me, coming from this classical music standpoint partly and this acting perspective also,
Yeah.
I really want to combine those two, and I think opera is the best art form for that, really.
So
Yeah, so
you said that I love to being on stage.
mm,
So opera is really extremely beautiful stage music. Yeah, it's really hard, by the way. A lot of musicians, a lot of singers. The choir. It requires a lot of musicians, and it's really impressive, by the way, to the listeners, to the musicians, right?
yeah, I think it's very, very dramatic, as you say, and the stage and everything, it becomes so theatrical and so grand. It's bigger than life.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So I wonder, you're a full-time classical musician. Do you sing another version of music, like jazz or something, or just classical?
Yeah, for fun I do, and we have had some projects doing singing musical, and I'm not the best at belting and that kind of technique, but it's interesting for sure. And I sing a lot of with my family. We do some concerts sometimes, singing more pop music and stuff like that. But I
Yeah,
wouldn't call myself, uh, I don't know, professional in those things. It's just fun.
yeah, I understand. So I wonder, why did you choose the music? Because you said you're coming from an artist family, and they all acting, but you said I was between to choosing acting and music, but you finally decided go on with the music. So what's particular reasons that you chose the music? What was them?
I think because for me it felt more difficult, and maybe that's strange to say, but it felt a bit unattainable almost, or so because the technique is really so palpable. It's really hard to sing these coloraturas and with vibrato and uh, with the technique basically.
Yeah,
So it felt so exciting to learn how to do it. And with acting, maybe I got a bit blind from it from home, that I was more thinking, it's not so hard. Of course, I have a big respect for it. It was my 15-year-old self thinking like that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it was that it felt so challenging, and yeah, see, I just had this vision of myself singing this Exultate Jubilate, and I
Yeah,
really wanted
I
to do
understand.
it.
I understand. So I think as a person, you like the challenge of the, life of the work. You like to be, do something challenging and focus on it and achieve it. I think you're like challenge, huh?
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. I think hard work is everything really in this business.
Yeah. So you said, you like oratorio music and opera music. Actually, you've been a soloist and the part of a choir in these form of music. The biggest ones, I think you were a soloist at Carmina Burana and Messiah. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, and you were part of the choir. That's Rigoletto, and what was the other one?
I'm doing Norma this summer, I
Norma,
believe.
yes, this summer. Okay. So I listened the Carmina Burana, live. I'm living in Turkey, and as a city, it's called Bursa, and Bursa State Orchestra, Symphony Orchestra. Once they opened the season with this Carmina Burana, and it's like 1 hour music, and it's really crowded orchestra. There's a lot of people on the choir, the soloist, and the orchestra is super big. There are a lot of string players. There are piano, by the way. That's interesting. So yeah, it was really, really remarkable night for me. So I know the music and I know how impressive the music is. But I don't know how impressive being a musician on this music. So could you tell us your experience about this Carmina Burana concert? It was hard for you. How did you feel when you're on the stage and singing? And how did you feel when the concert ended? All these applauses. So can you tell us your experience about this Carmina Burana concert?
Yeah, it's really amazing music, I think. Very polyrhythmic and quite cinematic in a way. I really think you really described it well. I think it's such an exciting work of music. Yeah, when I sang Carmina Burana, it was my first time singing as a soloist with an orchestra in that way, or an orchestra that big. Um, and it was quite challenging because when you sing with an orchestra, it's different from singing with the piano. You have to, because the orchestra is behind you, it's harder to hear. You don't hear it as a piano. The conductor is here, like beside you or behind you, and you have to know it in a way so much better than you know. Of course, you have to know a piece when you sing with piano good too, but you are really the soloist. You are at the front of it all, and you need to lead it, and you need to know it so well that you just know it from the cello parts. If you stand in front of those, or so yeah, I think it was definitely a learning experience, and I, it's you have to project your sound over the orchestra too. There are
Yeah.
no mics, so yeah, but it's lovely. It's wonderful to sing with an orchestra, and the music is beautiful. So I had a great experience with it.
I I think Carmina Burana is like a religious music, right? The text of the music.
Uh, yeah, it's. I think it's a mixture, right? It's about the wheel of fortune,
Oh
turning
yeah, yeah,
and yeah.
yeah. So the people, most of the people and most of the classical music listeners knows the first episode and the last one because it's really famous, the first and the last. I think it's interesting. The opening of the music is just too powerful, and the
Hmm.
ending is just the same as the beginning. And the people then I was listening to the new music. They all just stand up, applauding, yelling. Some of them whistles. There was an incredible atmosphere for sure. Um, yeah, it's really dramatic piece, like you said, and it's really powerful. You know, the drums and the timpanis at the end just going crazy. Yeah, it was good. I think, when I'm hearing like these powerful pieces, I'm thinking like being a musician there is it's feeling like super powerful to me. You're a timpani player or the conductor. You feel really powerful. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is not your last experience. You said you were also a soloist in Messiah, right? Handel's Messiah. By the way, it's a really famous piece as well as Carmina Burana. So that's that one is more religious piece, and I believe that you're familiar with this kind of music because your education, right? You said when you were young and started to music, how can I say, music education, you said you were doing some Christian music as well. So I think you're familiar with this religious music type. How was the Messiah concert?
Yeah, I'm very familiar with this music. The Hallelujah choir. It was
Yeah, yeah,
I was singing that before I could read sheet music at all. I was just Hallelujah singing it. And it was I loved the music even back then when I was 6 years old. But uh, it was really I think Handel's Messiah is one of the masterpieces. Um, it's played all the time since it was written, and it's loved by many for a good reason, I think. And yeah, I was singing a lot of the soprano solos from this with the bachelor program I'm in now. We were doing it
yeah,
in Storkyrkan in Stockholm partly, and also in a different church. And I think this music is so captivating, and there is almost no, because it's quite a long work of music,
yeah,
but there are no boring parts in this music. I think I love the bass arias, the tenor arias, the choir pieces. Everything is really so amazing. And it was lovely to be a part of it. And I think Baroque music for me is also quite a passion. I really love the phrasing of it. It's it's like a language. If you don't know how to phrase it, it can sound quite plain. But if you know how to make it interesting, which this conductor really knew,
yeah,
it
yeah.
becomes so alive, the music. And the soprano arias are beautiful and lovely to sing. And it's when you sing this type of Baroque music, it's a lot of sometimes it's like a recitativo, it's secco, and other times it's more accompagnato, and it's not difficult to project your sound over it. It's just you flow with it. It's lovely.
Yeah. So you love, especially the Baroque music,
Yeah.
or yeah. By the way, the singing is, of course, the Baroque music is more like a religious music because of the time.
Yes.
You're looking to Handel's time, Bach's time, Vivaldi's time. They're always composing for the church. They were church composers, so every pieces they wrote is for the church, and for that matter, it's religious music. But I think you are singing as at the Romantic era as well, right? The Schumann's leads, Schubert's leads,
Mm-hmm.
because the Schubert is like amazing. He wrote like 600 leads or maybe more. So did you sing a, a Romantic era music, not just classical and Baroque, as a lead of Schumann or Schubert? Did you sing one of them?
Yeah. I've sung a lot of Schumann and Schubert. I've sung French lead. Sweden actually has a great lead tradition too. We call them romancer, and composers like Sten Hammar, which is, if you don't know who it is, you should look it up.
Yeah,
It's a lot of cool piano
I
music.
I never heard of his name. His
Yeah,
name.
yeah, I recommend him for lead and for piano music and orchestra too. Yeah, it's the lead tradition is really very different. It's more chamber music for us singers because there the piano part, because when you sing opera arias, it's orchestra reduction, right? So for the pianist, it's not so fun all the time because they have to mock an entire orchestra, and oftentimes you can't do it. You have to reduce and everything. But with the lead, it's written as two parts equally important. It's not a soloist and an accompaniment. And in lead, there's also the piano part usually tells the emotion of the text.
Yeah.
Like if you all the time in lead tradition, if you sing about the ocean, it's always the piano is playing waves. Or if you're singing about being in love, it's oftentimes the piano is singing the beat of a heart,
Yeah, I
playing,
understand.
and it's a lot of symbolism that is um, really interesting. If you look into the music, there's a lot to find, really.
So I think you're saying that, the in the lead music for piano and the singer, so the singer is introducing the subject and the piano is making like specific details, you say.
Yeah, it's like the singing is saying the text, and the piano is showing the subtext, like the emotion
Yeah, I
underneath
understand.
it.
Yeah. So I wonder, have you ever heard of Chopin's leads? Is like Polish songs?
No, I don't think so.
Really? So
No.
I think it's, quite interesting because Chopin is much more a piano guy, and he just wrote for solo piano, but he does wrote when he was middle of his lifetime. He wrote 19 Polish songs for the soprano and piano. I really recommend that you look to those leads because, of course, it's not that quite, solid as Schumann's or Schubert's music because they are leader composers, but Chopin is not. But, they are quite well as well. And I wondered that if you ever heard or maybe sing one of his leads. But yeah, it's really quite good.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. I will definitely check it out.
Yeah. So, okay. So there was a violinist in Bursa which was studying his, license program at Bursa Uludağ Conservatory, and like I said, she was a violinist, and we said, okay, let's do some project and make some recording. But the piece is missing. We are thinking, the Beethoven's violin sonatas or Brahms, they're just overplayed and everyone knows it. There are millions of records of that music. So we did want to make something, interesting and, how can I say this, unique. Yeah. So I searched up and I, looked Chopin's music. Maybe I'm thinking like, okay, we can do some arrangement of his nocturnes. Maybe we can pick a nocturne and arrange it for the violin and piano. But I came up with this 19 Polish song, and we decided to do the second one, which it's called Wiotna. It's in G minor, and it's a really, really easy piece for the piano because the left hand is just doing all the same thing, beginning to end. There's no such thing, some craziness or some powerful jumps, unexpected sequences. But no, it's just beginning to end. It's always quiet, and we think that okay, let's do this music. Let's arrange it piano and violin, and it was really interesting experience because when you're getting in those pieces you understand that you should never understand, you should never uh, think that okay, so Chopin is a piano composer, so how can hard this lead can be. because the piano part is super easy, as well as the vocal part. But it was really deep when we get to the music, and we really loved them, and we want to make more. So yeah, that's why I asked you, did you know the Chopin's 19 Polish songs? They are really great pieces, lovely to play, lovely to arrange it. I hope one day I can play the piece with a soprano as well. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Maybe sometimes if you're available, you can look at it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think yeah, it sounds so cool. And also when you have a text also to work with, I imagine as a musician, it really enriches the music because you actually know what the text is, what the inspiration is.
Yeah. Well, the text is, it's in Polish,
Mm.
so we looked at the English transcription,
Mm.
and because none of me or my friend doesn't know some Polish, and I think it's old Polish, not the modern Polish. It's really hard to you know to read the music, um, and I think the Viosna means spring in English, but in music, it's not like he's describing the spring. Maybe some rainy spring. It's dramatic, and it feels like the storm is coming. Okay, it's spring. Everyone's cheering up, doing some, relaxing. The sun is on the top, but when you see the sky, you're just seeing the clouds are coming, and you know they will be a lot. There will be a lot of chaos when they come. We saw this in the text as well, and we just wanted to do it because it was a really nice melody, it was really nice music, and the text was dramatic, and actually we loved the dramatic part, so we wanted to do it.
Yeah, yeah, super cool.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I talked a little bit much, so I want to get back to you. Okay, so let's continue on these concerts. So you were part of the choir as the Mozart's Rigoletto, right? So tell us, how was being part of a choir in the opera? Because you were the soloist before these concerts in the Messiah and Carmen Burana, but this time you were part of the choir in Rigoletto, and there is a period changes because the Handel and the Carmen Burana is like very different periods, because one of these Baroque and the Karl Orff just like a modern composer maybe, and this Mozart is just between of them. It's a classical period, it's a classical piece. How was the concert, and what was your experience about being part of a choir and sing Rigoletto?
Mm. Yeah, since I come from a choir background, I really enjoy singing in a choir. But then an operatic choir is really quite different from a church choir, or because here you are all soloists singing in a choir, or that's how you project the sound anyways. It's like you are singing solo but in a group. And this was a production, Verdi's Rigoletto, and if you are familiar, it's in the original text there isn't female voices in the choir, but they added female voices because females are on stage, and we sang in the scene, and yeah, it was very, very amazing. I think Rigoletto is once again amazing. If you know the quartet in the in the last part, it's so amazing. And this production, it went on for, we did I think maybe 10 shows, so it was very cool to see how an operatic production is made, and it's so much to the detail of the costume, to the staging, to lights,
Yeah,
to
of course.
the working first with the pianist and then with the orchestra. And in this particular production, they really wanted to incorporate the singers in the scenic work. In some opera productions, the choir just walks in and they sing, and they are more in the back. But here we were in the front of the stage, interacting with the soloists on stage, and yeah, really got to be actors and individual singers, and not a mass of people, but really individuals. And that was very cool. So it was a great experience for me, and also being close to these internationally acclaimed opera singers was inspiring as well. And
Yeah.
I think it will be even more fun this summer doing Norma, because there's a lot more music to sing, and it will be a similar experience with acting and everything like that. So I look
Yeah.
forward to it a lot.
The backstage of the the opera, the rigoletto, you said, the staging, the decorating of the
Mm.
stage and adding some tiny details. It's not that easy, right? Because the listeners just come, they sit and they listen to music, applause, and leave. But
Mm.
before the backstage, there are a lot of efforts, as like the singers, the orchestra, the players, the decorating the stage, the conductor. It's a really hard work to make a music as opera, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of things that goes into it, and a lot of people that you don't see that are there all the time making all of these things happen to create this illusion on stage, you know.
Yeah,
And also opera, it's not like a movie. It's an theatrical experience from far away, because you have the pit with the orchestra, so it's also distance you work with. So you have to really see, be able to tell which character is which, tell the, it's a grand scale is what I'm trying to say, really. And yeah, it's so many amazing people that not only the soloists, but really everyone is making the production.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so I have a really good question. So these kind of operas are good, but they're like 1 hour music, right? Maybe not that much. The
Mm,
Rigoletto
the
you
opera
said,
or what?
the let's say the Rigoletto you played. How much time do you need to play the beginning to end? It's like 1 hour,
For
two
me as
hours.
a choir.
No, no, no. The whole music,
The whole thing, I think the whole thing is 2 hours.
like
Yeah,
2 hours.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but if we come to the romantic periods, if you look to the Wagner's operas, it's like 5 hours,
Yeah.
6 hour operas. The Valkyrie opera, it's like the 5 hour music. Have you ever think that to be a partition of this big operas like Wagner's opera, or maybe you sing one of them? I don't know. Are you planning on doing such thing? Because I'm really curious about the people. How can you sing, or how can you, hold on for like 6 hours or 7 hours, just beginning to end? There are a lot of acts, five, six, maybe 9 acts, not as like Rigoletto or Mozart's operas, or maybe Beethoven's opera Fidelio. It's just too long. I mean, right? It has to be really hard to hold on as a vocal musician or orchestra or conductor or even little listener, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can't. As a singer, I think it is definitely hard being able to sing. And when you are starting out and singing classical, maybe you can't sing more than for 45 minutes and you get tired.
Yeah,
And of course, practicing and singing concerts are also different experiences for the voice. So I think generally the better technique you have, the longer you can sing. But that's quite general to say. And to sing, you know, Handel's Messiah, or to sing, as you say, or a Verdi opera, it's very different with the strain on
yeah,
the voice. But it's also, every singer is different, right? some have
course.
vocal cords of iron. They can sing for however long, and other people really need to rest and to warm up for a long time. And yeah, I think the longer I will come in my vocal progression, the more clear it will be. I think my stamina now is quite good actually, and I did my graduation concert singing soloist for an hour, and it feels good. And 5 years ago, maybe I wouldn't have been able to do that, So I think it's a work in progress for sure. And yeah, and as an audience, I think it's listening to a Wagner opera. You have to go into it being prepared for really experiencing that long of an opera. I have never, I have not sung Wagner yet. It's quite big, and
Of
my
course.
voice is not there right now. But it's amazing music, but you need to know the story and be prepared. Maybe know some of the music, or because then you will really get the experience. But if you just come in there blank and sit there for however many hours, I think you will feel a bit drained, maybe.
Yeah, of course, you're right. Some concerts they're just doing the half of
Mm-hmm.
it, and the other half will be doing in another day, maybe. And yeah, of course, you're right. So you're saying is that this kind of big musics and long musics are actually, depending on the experience of the musicians. You're saying that okay, I'm in a progress musician and I am learning, I am, developing my technique, and in this case I am getting more stamina, or just you
Mm.
said more experience. So it's not sure, it's not for beginners, right?
No,
As Verdi
definitely
operas,
not.
Wagner's operas. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's really hard to listen as well, because you get tired as a listener, because Wagner has a, or Verdi has a, um, has an opinion to tell. You can't just listen. Okay, I'm studying, so it's a background music. No, you cannot listen like that. You will sit and you will think of the music. You will listen. You will hear the strings, and you will hear the winds. You will hear the timpani, or you will think of the ideology of the music. So it's not that easy for listen as well. At least for me, I can't listen. It's like like a Mozart's piano sonata.
No,
It's
no.
really different.
Yeah, and I think the more you study it, the more exciting it becomes and the more interesting it becomes, because it's really a lot of details that at first listen you don't quite get in
Yeah,
that sense. And yeah, and also the duration of the singer, it's also with age and with different types of singers also.
yeah,
I'm not saying
of course, of
that
course.
with age everyone is going to sing Wagner. Some are Mozart sopranos and others are Wagner sopranos.
Yeah, yeah, of course, you're right. Okay, so thank you for your, I always get really excited and get nervous of these kind of program. I made a lot of interviews as Turkish. I made 170 interviews. It's like 300 hours of program. But in this kind of programs, I get a lot of nervous because I know my English sucks, and I'm afraid to tell something wrong. So first of all, thank you for listening to me and listening to my bad English. And to say second, thank you for being here. It was a really good pleasure to make an interview with you. You're an amazing person, such cute person, and good musician. I would like to make another conversations with you sometime.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. And I think your English is perfectly good, and I think you should get more confidence, do more interviews. I think you're doing amazing. So don't worry.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Okay, so take care, and I would really keep in touch with you.
Yes.
I'm seeing your post, and I'm supporting you. So all the best to you.
All the best to you. Thank you so much. See
See
you.
you. Okay, so thank you for listening to me. It was a really, really challenging 40 minutes of my time. It was really hard, but thank you for being here and listening to us. So, see you on another episode of Conversations with Musicians. Take care.